Yo guys, so we're back with another video, and in this week's video we're going to go through the second part of making a bassline tune, and we're going to go through the basses from the track Ravers, so continued on from last week. If you haven't already, make sure to check out Ravers. It's on Spotify, I'll leave a link in the description. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through how I created the basses, the post-processing on the basses, and then the mix down on the basses as well. If you want to make this a bit easier for yourself, what you can do is head to my Patreon, sign up to the producer tier, and then download the sample pack which has the patches in and all the plugins ready to be applied if you have FL. If not, you can follow along with the application for the post-processing and just download the patches. Let's get into it. So I have recreated it here for you, and what we're going to do is I'm just going to go through. So this is bass 1, we've got a Serum patch just for bass 1, and then what we've done is we've created a new pattern called this bass build, and the pattern looks like this. So I'll just zoom in on each bit. So I've used the step button for this one and for these, and then I've used the third button for these ones. And then I've just gone through and applied it accordingly in each bar. And it sounds like this. So I'll play it so you can hear it, and then you can apply it yourself. And then in the drop, we've done something similar. So this is what it looks like in the drop. And again, I've used the step ones here and here. And then I've used the triplets here and here. So if you want to go and add that in bar 1, 2, and 3. And then what you can do is simply copy it into a unique pattern for the second part of the drop, and just get rid of the first note here. And then what you're going to want to do is create a separate Serum for the sub bass, and then duplicate the track onto here. So you've got the bass here and the sub below it. And then for the second bass, which comes at the end, I've got a new Serum for that. So if we go onto that and go here and open this, this is the pattern for the second bass. And then again, this has steps, triplets here, and then steps again. And then we go to the sub, it's the same, just duplicated. Alright, so now that you've got the patterns down and you've got 4 Serums set up, I'm going to take you through how I created each patch. So for the bass, first bass, if you've got my template, then feel free to add it to channel 21. And if we come to here, this is the bass sound. So it's basic shapes on wave position 2, and then it's just the default for oscillator B. And then if you just copy the settings, so pause the video and copy the settings that you can see, and that's with LFO 1. So you want to apply this to this level, this cutoff, and this sub here. So if you just copy exactly what I've done here, you do this by dragging those to there, those to there, that to there, you'd get a similar sound. And then if we look at the post-processing, we have distortion on Asylum, and we only have about 5% on the distortion. And then we have a compressor on multiband, and we've changed these accordingly. It's on 100%, and then we've got the gain up to 10, and I don't think we changed much on here, but I'll just click on them so you can see the figures. And then we've got delay on feedback 15%, and then we've got left and right 11.31, 26.79, and then we've just grabbed this and moved it slightly down like this, and you can see the figures on the bottom there. And then the mix is 76%. So that's the bass. And then if we go to the post-processing, so we've got an EQ, just getting rid of some of the lows, and then we've got OTT, and you can copy these settings here. We've got a Fab Filter Saturn on the more excited one, which is here. And then if we go through each section, so here we've got 0% drive, clean tube, gentle saturation on 0, clean tube on 13%, and then gentle saturation at the end here, and you can notice these have changed as well. So I'll just show you what they've all changed to. And you can just pause it accordingly. Right, now trash 2. Now for trash 2, we've just used the multiband compressor, and we haven't used anything for band 1. And then for band 2, we've moved it to 319 here and 2 here. And then we've got a grainy saturation, very slight. And that's from the saturation channel here. And it's got on, the mix is on half. And then in channel 3, we've got fuzz, and we've used smooth, and it's quite aggressively used it here. And then we've got another EQ to filter out any lows that those processing has added. And then we have our shape boxer, so volume shaper 4, that's applying the sidechain. And if you haven't got that set up, then watch one of my previous videos on that. You can check out on my channel. There's one for volume shaper and one for fruity limiter as well. And then to finish with, we've got a Pro L on 4.8 for default setting. You might be wondering what these two are for here. So what I've done here is I've created some EQ and filtering for the build-up bass. So what I've done here is I've created a fruity convoler here, and I've only got it applying, as you can see here, when this bass is playing. So this is this one here, and then when it drops, that convoler will be turned off. It's the same for this EQ here. So this EQ is just applying when the build-up is playing, and I've got that set up just to get the highs. And then also for the love filter, I have got, what I've done is right-clicked, created an automation for this one, done the same for this one, and then just had them coming in slowly. Then it creates that. That gradual increase in sound. So that's bass 1 done. For the sub of bass 1, I'll quickly show you. So this is what it looks like. So we've just got an LFO 1. It's got the same attack, but a lot more sustain and decay, just to give it that aggressive feel. And then we've just got basic sine wave, -2, full level applied to it, and then the simple distortion asylum, and that's it. And then on the sub channel, we have got an EQ. Now I've been a bit lazy here and just applied a massive volume to the sub on here because I couldn't be bothered to do it any other way. And then I added a Pro L on 4 as well. And then we've got the sidechain, of course, hitting. So that's the first bass and the sub. And then we've also got the sub going into some reverb. So we've got it here on 78% into the reverb, and when this is playing, we have Valhalla here on large chamber and clear chamber, and these are the settings I've applied to it. And then when this bass is playing, we have this EQ applying. So we have just the highs of the reverb coming through, and that gives you a different sound to what you would without. So I can play it for you now. So this is with no EQ. It's quite aggressive, the reverb, and doesn't sound great. So if we turn this on, it's like a subtle reverb in the background, just in the highs, and it kind of makes it sound more together and full. And then we've also got a Pro L on this. I'm not sure why there's a Pro L on here, just to stop it from clipping. And then what happens is this bass runs through the reverb, runs through the bass bus, and then that goes to the master channel. And this goes to the bass bus as well. Right, for the second bass, so let's look at the Serum patch to start with for the bass. So this one is a little bit more complicated. As you can see, I've just got the default wavetables for this sound as well. Very basic, I know. So that noise isn't actually doing anything, I don't think. So we have this sub on this shape at -2, and then we have this -2, this -2, these -22, and this +23. And then we've got very subtle detuning, which I don't know if it does anything, to be honest, and then we have this on 1/4, envelope open, and then a little bit of a curve here and a little bit of a curve there. So once this has been created, this then applies to 6 things. So it applies to the level here, detune, detune, the level here, and the cutoff here, which is on MG load 12, and all of these are applied here. So if you just go ahead and copy this setting now, you should get a similar sound. And then the effects section, we are using some of the mods down here to help with us. So for the chorus, I've got the setting here, and then that's on 0, but I've dragged this over to here and put it on full, and then I've just applied a small percentage, so you can see the percent there, 25% of the chorus. And then for the distortion I've used tube, and that's on 0 as well, but I've applied this on full and then used 50%, and then I've just done some EQing as well. And then we have the sub to go with that, and this is again just a very basic sub. So we've got the same attack, envelope, and then a higher decay just to give it that oomph, and it's just on -2 normal sine wave, and then asylum again, and then that's just going into the same processing as the first sub. The sub needs to all be the same ideally. And then the post-processing of the second bass. So I've turned it down a little bit because it sounded a bit loud compared to the first bass when I was mixing it earlier. So again, we've got another Pro Q, a Saturn using the synth bass setting here. So we've got old tape, 52%. And then we've got old tape, 64%. And then heavy saturation, quite a lot on here. And then we've got an OTT, which I believe is the same OTT as bass 1, or very similar. And then we've got a sausage fattener on 12%, 0% colour, and then a Pro Q just to get rid of any lows again that might have come through, and a G clip, but I don't actually think this is doing anything, so I'm not sure why that's there. We've got a sidechain here and a Pro L just to stop it clipping. So that's the second bass, and then we've also got the reverb on 100% here. This time we have this EQ playing and this EQ off. So when the first bass is playing, this EQ is on, as you can see, and then that one turns off and this one turns on when the second one's playing. And you can just play around with things like this when you're making your tunes. I found it to be really helpful. And this is just there like that, and it gives it this sound. So lastly, what we're going to go through is the bass bus. So I've got a fab filter saturation. It's minus, and it's the clean tape one. So that's this one here. And then we've got it on -2.47, clean tape, and same again, clean tape. And then we've got a Pro Q2, just taking out some of the lows, because I believe that's where the kick drum was hitting the fundamental, but I'm not entirely sure, it was a long time ago I made the track. And then we've got a sausage fattener, that somehow slipped in, I don't know how. If in doubt, slap a sausage fattener on. And yeah, that's the basses. So I'm just going to show you, I have now put something on the master channel, because without the master channel it was sounding a bit strange. And it was clipping like hell. So on the master channel I've got a fruity balance turning everything down a bit. And I've got a Pro Q2 literally just removing some lows, adding some highs. Another Pro Q2 removing the high highs, a Pro MB, so some multiband not doing a lot, increasing the highs a bit, and then a Pro L on the dubstep setting, which is in dance and electronic down here on 5, and then we've got this setting here. So yeah, feel free to have a look at that. So yeah, that's the going through the basses of Ravers. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you stuck around and followed it, I hope it was helpful. Let me know if you run into any issues getting it to sound similar. If you really struggle to get it to sound similar, I recommend just downloading it off my Patreon, signing up. It'd be worth it. There's a lot of new content coming out and it's only £5. Make sure to drop a comment on what videos you'd like to see in the future. I'll see you in the next one.